Excuse me! Taxi!
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
We are back here on Katz and Cosby. Well, a big day in Albany, and as Rudy so aptly described, Mamdani went up there with a tin cup. It's Tin Cup Day. And joining us to fill us in on all of it is Melissa DeRosa, of course, senior aide to then Governor Cuomo. It's so great to talk with you, Melissa. Fill us in on, first of all, Albany, and then I want to get to your great op-ed that you did on immigration, too.
Well, great to be back chatting with you guys. And before we really get into it, I have to say one thing. Last night, I watched the movie Marty Supreme, and I don't know if I've been living under a rock, but I had no idea that John Catsimatidis, in addition to all of the things that he does in his life, radio show owner, grocery store owner, gas company, all these things, that he also could be an award-winning actor in an Oscar-nominated film. I mean, who knew, John? The talents are limitless. It's wild.
Well, I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing that movie, Marty Supreme. I played opposite Timothy Chalamet, and I would have paid them instead of them paying me.
Oh, I was watching. I was like, wait a minute. Is that John Catsimatidis? I did a double take, but you were fabulous.
Wasn't he great, by the way, before we get to the topics? Melissa, he had such a memorable role. It was so great and I like clever and funny and hilarious. And when John said, oh yeah, I'm doing this little thing, and then he ends up, he's in the trailer. Like he's one of the most memorable parts in the film.
No, and that movie is going to be nominated for Oscars. I mean, it's huge.
It is. By the way, it's nominated. It is already, Melissa. By the way, here's another update for you. I think it got 9 nominations, I think. And Oscars come out in March, but it's nominated for like everything, for like Timothy Chalamet, best film, also a whole bunch. So I am believing John will 100% be in an Oscar-winning film. Yes.
Well, yes. Congratulations, John, and everyone should go see it if you haven't yet. So, Albany, our favorite topic.
Yes. What happened in Albany?
And, you know, it's funny because I was chatting with John about coming on, and John said, Melissa, be nice. And I said, what do you mean? I'm always nice.
Be nice.
Well, Melissa's one tough gal.
Melissa, don't worry. He tells me that once in a while, too. So go ahead.
So, yeah, Mamdani was up. And the headline of the day is Honeymoon is over for Zoran Mamdani. I mean, first of all, yesterday, I'm sure you guys saw, you know, he was really put through the ringer by the city council on what is now 19 deaths. I don't know if you saw just a few minutes ago, they announced another death that they've discovered as a result of not coming in from out of the cold. And Julie Menon really took it to him on 18 people who didn't need to die. Now we know 19. So yesterday, the city council was really going after him. And then today he went up to Albany, where I think he was expected to have a hero's welcome. He went in all smiles. And they didn't want to hear the nonsense. I mean, he went out 2 weeks ago, as we all remember. He said, I've got this $12 billion deficit. He, you know, blamed the Father, Son, and the Holy Christ. Anyone he could, you know, possibly lay the blame at, people who haven't been in office for 5 years. Eric Adams, he said, lied about it, even though there's video of him flatly talking about the potential budget deficit. And all of a sudden, he showed up today, and that budget deficit from 2 weeks ago that was $12 billion is magically $7 billion. So we're not quite sure how he was able to reduce the budget in a matter of 2 weeks, or if he was just lying all along. So people had real questions about that. And then, and at a certain point, actually, John Liu, who was a very far left Democratic senator, piped up and said, it's February, sir. The time for blaming past governors and mayors for your fiscal woes has come and gone. So even, you know, DSA members of his own tribe were sort of saying, you know, enough of the baloney. And then separately, you know, he was getting a lot of skepticism about this. He wants to raise taxes on the 2% on people making over $1 million in New York City. And so he was saying, you know, I'm not asking Albany to give me more. I'm asking you to give me the ability to raise taxes. And for those of your listeners who aren't aware, New York City, when you combine the city and state tax, is already the highest on millionaires of any locality or state in the country, except for California is slightly higher at 14.4. New York City for millionaires, I think it's about 13.6%. And he wants to propose going 2% higher, so we would leap over, and New York City would be by far the highest taxed locality or state in the country, to say nothing for the people who earn higher, because New York has other tax brackets, $5 million, $20 million. So, but the lawmakers
in New York City, New York State, 2% of the people pay 48% of the taxes.
No, that's right, John. And the threshold for bleeding population of high income earners is very, very low. If we lose even a handful of people, there will be dramatic impacts on our New York City and New York State finances. And we are absolutely at a tipping point. I mean, we lost 500,000 people since COVID. A couple of weeks ago, they put out the predictions for the upcoming census, and they predict that New York State and California are going to be the leaders once again in losing congressional seats, which means we're going to continue to shrink population. And so we can't afford to screw around here. But, he's up there with that big goofy smile and, his funny math, whereas $12 billion, 2 weeks ago, now it's $7 billion, but I still need the money and it's not for the, the daycare, even though I'm not really getting real daycare. It was just the whole thing was total sham. But it was very interesting to me that he was met with a tremendous amount of skepticism, even from the people within his own party who basically said, knock off the games, blaming Adams and Cuomo and others, and why are your numbers all over the place? And then on top of it, one of the Republican legislators from Long Island really went after him on wanting answers on the, really big rise in anti-Semitism since he took office. I think it's over 180% increase in anti-Semitic incidents since January 1 alone. And the Democrats sort of dove in front of him and tried to protect him and said, oh, this is just supposed to be about the budget. And they said, well, the budget affects Jews, so we want answers on what he's doing with anti-Semitism. So it was not a great day for Zoran Mamdani up in Albany.
Well, Melissa, thank you for letting us know. And you have to, when I ran for mayor, I think we had 249,000 employees in New York City in 2013, 2014. And it's now 306, I believe. And it went as high as 327. I don't know what the other extra 50,000 are doing.
Well, look, and we're seeing every day, Texas is setting up a stock market. We're seeing the banks more and more moving their back office jobs down to Florida, down to Texas, down to Georgia. I mean, this is a made up issue. And on top of it, you've got this administration, which while he made good TikTok videos, admittedly, no management experience, no experience with the job whatsoever. And New Yorkers just saw what that meant in real life, right? The snow cleanup was a disaster. 19 people died because they weren't taking in due to ideological nonsense of we're going to let people freeze to death. And
you have to take the break.
Yeah, Melissa, you got to come back. By the way, Melissa, will you come back on like maybe later this week to talk about your immigration op-ed? Because that was great.
Absolutely.
Yes,
I could never say no to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Melissa. Very good stuff.